Hey, what's up guys? Chad here with the Reptile Rangers. Now we're at the Kernersville Reptile Zoo and Medical Center again today, and we're going to talk about how to safely help a snake in the wild, okay? But before we get into that, right there in that corner is our subscriber button. Make sure you hit that, and for those that already have, we appreciate you following along week after week after week. Let's get right into this. All right, so obviously the first disclaimer I'm going to say here is how to help a snake in the wild, leave it alone. That's the best way you can help most snakes in the wild. But the question was asked off of one of our previous videos for me to do a video on, especially now that it's springtime and you will potentially deal with venomous and non-venomous snakes. How do you help them, or how do you safely move them or safely deal with them if you have no other option? Well, generally speaking, you have an option. Leave it alone. Walk away, whatever the case may be. But there are a few rare occasions where absolutely intervention is a must, or at least is going to be helpful if nothing else. So there are things that you can do and tools that you can use, items and objects that you can use to kind of help safely remove or utilize in relocating a particular snake that may be in an area that it shouldn't or may get hurt in, okay? Now, the first thing right out of the gate would be something like this right here, snake tongs, okay? We use these in the industry a lot. I don't really use them all that often, don't really need to, but a lot of folks will use these. They are safe and incredibly handy for a handler, okay? Whether a experienced reptile handler or somebody just trying to just move an animal, okay? These are much safer, okay? Because you have an extension to be able to grip. The only downside really to these guys right here is our old saying goes, snake tongs break bones, okay? You can get these in 36, 48 inches long, so it gives you a long reach, and it gives you a reach to be able to reach out and safely grab a hold and move without ever touching the animal. Now again, I want you to understand and bear in mind that 90% of the time when people get bit by a venomous snake or a snake at all, they got closer to it to do something with it. Whether to try and move it or whether to kill it, in the cases of some rejects that just think they got to kill a snake because all snakes are bad. Now, their statement is usually the only good snake's a dead snake. My response is the only good moron is a dead moron. So anyways, we'll overlook those. However, in the particular case that you actually have half a brain and any kind of moral character, you want to not kill the freaking snake. And you want to see it move because you just don't want to have to deal with wherever it's at. Maybe it's on your front porch, maybe it's inside your house, maybe it's just in an inconvenient location on a biking trail, hiking trail, walking trail, whatever the case may be. And yes, that can pose a danger for people that's coming by. You want to make sure that it gets safely off the road. It doesn't get hurt, but a human doesn't get hurt. This is the first thing to have. They do make them to where they're collapsible, where they can break down, they can go in your backpack kind of concept. You can use things like a snake hook. Now this is what most of us in this industry use. This right here gives you the ability to manipulate. I don't suggest doing anything like a hook and tail unless you've been trained to do so. We have the only legitimate training course in North Carolina. It's a 2-day course. We've been doing it for over 10 years. And it's in depth, big time in depth, not just with handling, but with first aid, with humans, with medical, with reptiles, all kinds of things. If you're interested in that, I've never even said anything about the course on here before, never really thought about it. We don't advertise it because we just always stay busy. We always still full in these classes. But if you have an interest in taking that course for whatever reason or another, feel free and get in touch with us. We'll happily tell you what the course entails and the certificate that's issued at the end of the completion, okay? Now, but snake hooks, this is a great one. Essentially, you can use this one to just kind of shoo him on off the road, manipulate him, push him, nudge him, whatever the case may be. Same thing goes kind of with a turtle. You know, you can just use this, especially if it's a snapping turtle, just kind of gently nudge him on the way. You can use shovels, you can use rakes, not to chop their heads off, but to manipulate or to scoop and move, okay? Just something that's 3+ feet for sure, especially in our area. Now, if you're talking in the Midwest where there may be some 5-6 foot rattlesnakes, yeah, 3 foot is not a great distance. You also need to understand the type of snake you're having to deal with and the distance they have. So it's always good to have a stick or something that's around 4 to 5 feet to where you can keep a safe distance from the animal without getting hit. You can use boxes, you can use buckets, you can use trash cans, you can lay them down on their side and kind of shoo them up on in the dark hole. They generally will go to a dark hole because they think it's safety. You can shoo them on up in there, stand the bucket box trash can up and cover the lid up or close it off. And you can take it and safely transport it somewhere else. There are things like bagging systems. I don't really suggest those if you're not experienced with dealing with venomous snakes, because the fangs can go through the back. And if you don't know where your hands are at, or you're not paying attention to legs, feet, hands, and you're kind of carrying it next to your body, you absolutely can get bit through a bag. So again, ultimately this is just talking about if it's absolutely no other recourse and you just need to get the snake safely off of a pathway, whatever the case may be, you can use anything like tongs, snake hooks. You can use sticks, you can use shovels, rakes, hose, brooms, whatever. Again, not to hurt the snake, but to just kind of shoo it on, or what's called persuade it on out of the way or on back into the woods. Okay? Now, hopefully this has been helpful. Again, disclaimer is do not go near the venomous snake. Don't go near any snake, especially if you don't know what it is. And absolutely do not mess with it unless you just feel there's absolutely no other recourse, because that is generally when people get bit, is when they're trying to mess with the snake versus just leaving it alone, going around it, or walking away from it. Because generally speaking, once you're out of sight, they will leave. Out of sight, that means you're no longer a threat to them, but they also know that where they were sitting was not a safe place for something much bigger than they are. So they'll go on and try and find another place to sit and bake in the sun. All right? We hope that this has been helpful. This is Chad. We are the Reptile Rangers here at the Kernersville Reptile Zoo and Medical Center. Make sure to write in and let us know of other things you want us to film about. Feel free to leave a comment. If you have any questions or need our help, our information will be in the description below. Again, we appreciate you following along week after week after week. Don't forget about our TikTok channel under the same name, Reptile Rangers, as well as the Instagram page under Kernersville Reptile Zoo. Also, if you're interested in the training course, feel free and get in touch with us from the description below. Don't leave a comment on that one. Actually get directly in touch with us so we can go over all the information with you and get you set up for that particular course. All right? We appreciate, again, you following along week after week after week. We'll either see you here at the zoo or we'll see you on the next episode. Later.